Well, hey there, Dom. How you doing, sir?
Oh, hey, a little hectic, but doing pretty good. Doing pretty good tonight. How
Oh,
about yourself, sir?
hey, not too bad. Well, a little hectic. What's causing you to be a little hectic? I mean, I'm doing
Well,
well, and
it's Keystone Week in Western
okay.
Pennsylvania, across Pennsylvania. So I had some errands to run after school. Went and voted. Got back here for the show. We had
Yeah.
softball games this week. We won last night's game. Chorus concert tomorrow night.
Hmm.
So it's a lot going on. But the
All right,
weather's nice.
we're gonna have
Weather's
to create
nice.
a softball ticker. Then we're gonna keep track of the team's record because you're coaching, right?
Yes, I'm an
And
assistant coach.
assistant. Well, then there's hope. If you were the head coach, we just put the goose egg on there now. And your daughter's playing, correct?
Yes,
What position?
right field. Roberto
Okay.
Clemente.
All right. Unlike her father, who was always left out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Left
All right,
out,
well, that's good
sometimes right
stuff.
bench.
Guard, tackle, and guard the water bottles, tackling when he gets near to the end of the bench.
Yep.
So it's funny because my oldest, just had her 19th birthday yesterday,
I
and
saw that.
I took a lot of credit for that.
Happy
good job by me. We
birthday.
kept her alive.
Belatedly.
Yeah, yep, to Novalee. And when I was digging through all of like the young pictures, there was a time where she played softball, and I helped. I was an assistant for a year, and then I head coached the 1 year, and the best compliment I got, one of the dads, he was a beat writer for the Orioles, still is, and he made a comment. His daughter was a pitcher, so he would work with the pitchers. But he said, it took about a month in, and I realized we were working with a football coach, because in football I would always break things down into 3 steps, whether it be my lineman coming off the line, quarterbacks I would work with, running backs. I always would break it down into 3 steps to coach it. Well, in the throwing motion, I guess I broke it down so rigidly into 3 steps. All the kids would like catch, throw their arm out, and then they would go. And he's like, I totally just saw like that football mentality. Like, and he goes, and they were doing all right. It just wasn't fluid, I said, yeah, it's time for me to get out there. They need to be a little bit, coached a little bit more in an advanced way. That's not my level. So,
But they all competed for quarterback spots.
That's right. The powder puff teams in suburban and central are loaded these upcoming years. So yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, it's May. The weather looks decent, although freeze warnings on the phone, so you never know, what May brings. It's just all over.
It's tomorrow highs like 50 some degrees up here.
Yeah,
it was seven. It was high
in the
70s.
80s, right? Yeah, it was just hit the 80s here, and although it looks like they got like the stormy sky, so like nice wind blowing through, all the windows open, like a glorious time. I'm like, if that wind cut down a little bit and I didn't have the pod, I'd be in the backyard with a fire going.
I'd be doing that too. I went summer beard. I gave up the long beard, never as long as yours. As the piano player at the Poconos, little beard, big beard.
That's it. Listen, my barber, when I told her I wanted this cut, like she hesitated, she questioned, because I was down just below my name. Like, that was a good 4 inches I had cut off of the beard to square it all out. I came home, my daughters were like, what did you do? So it's pretty funny.
Made that a fundraiser at school.
It started moving on the floor, I'm not gonna lie. The barbershop just kind of started scurrying across, and unidentified scurrying object. But hey, we've got a lot of stuff to do. We've got special guests, we've got tech notes, we got a lot of things cranking. I think it's time for something.
That's right. It's Tuesday night. That means it's time for the
PACT
pod.
Let's roll it. Well, hello and welcome to the PACT pod, your source for education technology news. This is episode 26. My name's Eric Verno, Vice President of PACT, and I have the honor to be co-hosting with
Dom Salvucci. I'm the Southwest Regional Director of PACT. Thank you guys for letting us be on your computer or the backyard listening party in my neighborhood, the big screen.
Oh man, that's it. Good stuff. All right, I got to work on getting we got to start getting like a lot of thumbs up from the neighborhood block party. So we'll work on that.
You're gonna work. We should have that competition, neighborhood watch parties.
That's it. We'll figure. I got to get. Yeah, there's a couple teachers in my neighborhood. I'll get them all cranking. But hey, we got episode 26. It's a longtime listener, first time caller is the title for this episode. Is put in our notes by a Mr. Dom Salvucci himself. All right, so let's talk about it's the thick of May. You were talking about Keystones. What all is going on in the classroom? What all is going on with you?
We are wrapping up. Our grades are due next week. We have Keystones this week. Grades are due next week, and then we have Memorial Day and a couple days before the end of school. So we are in wrap-up mode. Kids are getting caught up. Anyone knows late work, we have that wrapped up. I'm trying to get grades in. We have some field trips that are going out. We wait till towards this time of the year where, try and hold the field trips back so kids that owe work can get work in, get the Keystones out of the way, then have some fun activities for the students. And that's where we're at. I know you have some news about your school and things you're going through right now.
Yeah, it's news. I got to go into my classroom for the first time in over a month. So I jokingly talked to the woman that's subbing in my room. I said, I get to be, your teacher's aide today. Tell me what I need to do. Pulled a group of kids, just work through some rotations in math. So I was there about 50 minutes. So I've been given clearance to go in twice a week. So, but just, it's nice to get in there and see the kids, joke around with them a little bit. I did sneak away. So I'll whisper this, but, last week our students were on their field trip to the junior achievement, BizTown. And so I did sneak in and I upheld my yearly tradition of getting my colleagues coffee and a nice, downtown, lunch. So we had some good Dominican food, for lunch.
Nice.
So I was able to run and grab that and then walk around, see the kids. And it's funny, when I first got there, the person in charge was kind of talking. And then I walked in, I didn't want to hit the corner, but some kids saw me because I wanted to hand the coffee off. And all of a sudden the murmurings of I was there started. And she kind of like reprimanded the kids for talking while she was talking. I was like, oh, I feel bad. So I had to go apologize to her later. But yeah, so we're gonna get back into the flow. And it doesn't look like I'll be doing any kind of full-time work or even a full half-time day this school year, and just keep doing the therapy and working on everything to get ready to be cranking next year. So
yeah, I'm sure the kids appreciated seeing you. So
they did until they were doing stuff wrong, and I had to get on them.
So they got hollered at because they were trying to say hi to you.
That's it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Verno, if he wasn't here, I would have gotten detention.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but yeah, no. So it's an interesting time of year, like when you were telling your story about getting the Keystones done, your Keystones done, your grades are due, and then you have to become a magician because it's like, hey,
yes,
nothing you're doing counts for anything, but you have to make the kids feel like it does and keep them engaged and keep them going. Be like, hey, kid, look at me. Such a tough time of year.
Yeah, I give them, well, there's no points, but try and let them pick things and give them fun stuff to do. And sometimes some of the kids are just like, I just want to watch my phone. I'm like, okay, let's I'll put a movie on, and they'll be like, I don't know this movie. I'm like, I like it. Like, well, why are we watching this? I'm like, because you're watching your phone. I'm watching my movie.
This was always the time of year where it's like, whose line is it anyway? Where the points are made up and they don't count.
Yeah. Well, I'll have the kids do stuff for prizes and things like that. I have, from bags of bling that I've gotten over the years. I'm like, hey, play for this or do that. And even stickers. They like the stickers. So
it's crazy how much kids love stickers.
My wife is like, why are you getting stickers? I'm like, because for the kids. She's like, you teach high school. I'm like, they like stickers. They like
the high school kids.
Treats. Yeah. Treats, just crack, like the little packets of peanut butter, cheese cracker, stuff like that. And like, here, play for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Although the news I did learn, we're not going to be doing our end of the year, last day of school breakfast. We normally would make pancakes and sausage for the kids and serve that to them. And just with me not being there the full time, trying to sneak in, it's just not going to work out. So unfortunately, but that's an easy one for you, Dom. You just bring in a little skillet, some really cheap, just add water, pancake mix and slap that together and serve.
I have the
always fun.
The 3D pancake printer, pancake bot.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It takes too long though, because I tried that.
I was gonna say, make them sit and stare and watch it.
Well, the key is have a second griddle. So once they get the initial, take it, flip it, and restart it. I gotta work on that this summer.
There you go. Yeah, get that. What is it? Conveyor line, or get the whole line going. That's funny. Well, let's see real quick. I know we talked about, we made a joke last year, or last week, last episode. What's outside Dom's window? He's doing a look. He's doing a scan.
Look at that. The coast is clear. There are no birds.
All right.
However, they have been. There was an article. My wife is deathly afraid of birds, and there was an article I sent her not to like freak out. But there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of birds migrating, and their path brings them over western Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, they're visiting the edge around my pool because the pool covers off. And every day we're spraying off the deck and the pool rail.
Oh, so not fun.
Yeah, not fun at all. But no birds outside, so the puppy Charlie is safe.
All right, that's good. There we go. Good check. Good check. So, just things to keep in mind for people. We're gonna jump into our guest here and let Dom do the introductions here shortly. ISTE is coming up. Got it in late June. A lot of stuff being planned. A lot of meetings being had. A lot of really cool stuff. You'll hear some more focused ISTE information and related materials coming up in the next couple pods. But just remember to check if you haven't signed up. The early bird window is over. But if you're still interested in attending and PACT member, we still have some room in our CS playground and still some AI playground room if you're interested. And we have, if you're going to be selfish, like go there to present, but we're going to have awesome presentations. So especially our AI presenter he's actually just very busy during ISTE, just bouncing around, and I'll release his name later. But we were able to snag him to come into our playground and speak on Wednesday. But so if you have anything you're willing to share, something you're doing in your classroom, teachers are always the hardest on ourselves and don't think it's really good. There's going to be somebody there that needs to hear what you have to share. So, but feel free to reach out to myself or Dom, and we'll get everything rolling for you. So yeah, very cool. So, and Dom's going to be there. So you want to come hang out with Dom? Yeah.
We'll be in the playground. We'll be in the PACT area. We'll be doing a live podcast, and hopefully we can record some people. We'll have some time, get some downtime, get some recordings to put on future pods, and go from there.
That's it. A lot of good stuff. Be working the floor. All right. Well, without further ado, Dom, would you like to introduce our pod guest?
Yes. Why don't we introduce first, or roll the tape first?
Let's introduce her first, and then we'll go ahead and kick the video and have her come.
It is an honor and a privilege. I've known Gina for a number of years now, although she is still a youngster. She is a regional board member at large, Ms. Gina Ligori from Montour Area School District. She is a rock star.
All right. Hey, welcome. How are you doing, Gina?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. You're talking about me being a rock star. I feel like I'm hanging with two celebrities here. I feel like I need some autographs and some, special privileges here being on with you guys. This is exciting.
Deliver the check on Saturday.
Yes.
If she's here, Don. Okay.
Yes.
Make sure you take care of it.
She was in the green room. I have the M&Ms ready, but she is not going to be at Fred Camp.
All right.
I heard they're in the mail. They're in the mail.
Homemade Fred Camp shirt.
That guy. What he learned in kindergarten, he never forgot. Good stuff.
Not a lot to have
and I appreciate it. See, for the record, Dom is faking it. He's trying to act youthful, so he doesn't have the underscore in his Twitter handle. When he made it, he shunned that off. But there's here now. Now I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm a little different scenario, but there's just a maturity when you have an underscore in your Twitter handle. Dom just lacks maturity, and I've been saying that all along.
When I signed up for Twitter, I was like user number 4. And there were 2 other Dom Salvucci's. I didn't have time to type the underscore. I just did D Salvucci.
He's one of the original.
The OGs.
I don't know.
Back with my CFF coaching days.
Good stuff. All right, Gina. So we got you on board. Dom was singing your praises. Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do at Montour.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. This is exciting for me to be talking with you guys today. So I am a high school English teacher at Montour High School. Montour is probably about 15 minutes outside of the Pittsburgh airport suburb area for anybody that might not know where I'm talking about. So high school English is what I teach. Specifically, I teach 10th grade English. I teach an integrated studies course, and I teach a college and high school film course that is in collaboration with the University of Pittsburgh. So lots of different things going on throughout my day, but I like it. I like the variety. And I'm rounding out year 15, which I can't believe that it kind of feels like a little bit of a milestone, I guess, like rounding out year 15 and moving on to a new set of numbers there. So
very cool. And have you been at Montour the whole time?
I did some different assignments and positions earlier on. This is my 11th year at Montour, 11th or 12th year at Montour. So some different places before there, but this is where I've been the longest. This is where I consider my home. And I actually graduated from Montour. So I'm an alumni. I graduated from here in 2004. And then I started teaching here in 2013. So always, I guess once a Spartan, always a Spartan. Proud to be home.
That's good.
Very cool.
We met through Justin Alio.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I had, my background with PAECT and how I found you guys. I was actually nominated by my principal in 2016 for the KTI Star. And I applied and I was selected and I attended Summit that year at Shippensburg, and I've never looked back since. So you guys had, I don't know if it was Prize Patrol or, what it was that kind of pulled me in there, but, can't shy away from PAECT now, but, no, but in all seriousness with that, the networking and the collaboration statewide through that organization, and through KTI and through PAECT, it's just, I think it's honestly on a different level. And once you're part of that group and part of that networking, I think it's something that you don't want to shy away from, because there's so many different ideas and so many different people that you can talk to about so many different things. And it's kind of like a fair, no judgment zone, so you can throw a tech idea out there or throw a lesson idea out there to somebody, maybe that you met at the conference or at an ISTE conference, or, sometimes in these regional meetups and, places like that where you meet new people and you throw an idea out there, somebody might have some feedback, somebody might have tried it, or, you can just kind of talk about it and get some honest ideas. So maybe you're thinking about something that doesn't work and somebody tried it and, they could say, well, I tried that didn't work, but maybe try this. It's just kind of nice to have a sounding board outside of your district. I think sometimes we all get very comfortable with the people that we work with on a daily basis, but it's nice to kind of have an outside sounding board with that like-minded, similar ideas. So.
Yeah, that PLN, that being able to talk geeky with people that think geeky, kind of like you, because very so often I'll say something in my building, they just look at me like, what? And you're like, seriously, this is a thing, guys. This is a thing. But
exactly. Or like when you wear purple and everybody knows what it means to wear purple on a certain day, and others don't know what it means to wear purple. It's kind of like, it's kind of a thing, but it's a nice community. And I think anytime, people with PAECT are together or KTIs meet up, it's just that energy just comes back. And it's a nice pickup any time of year. So glad to be part of the organization. I enjoy those meetups. I enjoy listening to you guys, just because it kind of, confirms what you might be thinking, or, an idea that maybe you heard of. It's, I don't know, just gives you the opportunity to kind of play a little bit.
And you do need those pick-me-ups throughout the year. It's that re-energizing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I even described in another event. So, KTI, the Keystone Summit, talk about immersion. We just jump you in and we go right at you from day one to the final day,
Yeah. And I will say that day one of Summit was a little intimidating, and I didn't know what I was getting into, just because there were a lot of things going on. It was very high energy. You were, signing up for sessions, and there were dinners and there were games, and it was, just a lot. But it was, once you made it through that first 4 hours, you were like, okay, I want to be here. This is cool, and the rest of the week just kind of went from there. So I have to get myself back at some point, either to visit or, jump on as a lead learner or something. But I feel like a visit to Summit might be coming back in my future.
There you go. Yeah, lead learner. We had some former VIPs return for a year, so that became a whole thing for all the new KTIs to try to figure out who the veterans were. So that was pretty fun last year.
Cool.
But and then the other one would be where the purple one ties into is Pete and C. I'm drinking my winning color out of my winning color mug tonight, the blue.
There you go.
All right, yeah. And so but yeah, Pete and C, then there's the Wear Purple Day and all that going on, and that's always a great time just to talk about that energy level, that gain, just getting with people, walking by the booth, seeing people, and the regional directors do a great job of having morning coffees and things, the pre-con that occurs, like a lot of great stuff there. And then again, like you mentioned, the regional stuff all around that everybody's having. So very cool.
Yeah, those meetups are just nice to kind of, get together, casual, low key, no stress, nothing to prepare, but just kind of get together with some people from different areas and different school districts and talk about the different things that you're doing in your classrooms. And, sometimes I think tech can be taken for granted, but there's still so much to learn and so much to do. Like we live in a world where tech is around us all the time. But I feel like instructionally, and when it comes to the classroom stuff, you still need that sounding board to kind of throw some ideas out there, especially with the AI now. I feel like that's the, big focus point now with, how can it help? Can it help? How can you use it? So having that opportunity to meet with people and talk with people that are also wondering that or trying that in their classroom, it's helpful. It's a nice place to go.
Yeah. And speaking of pre-conferences, I'm going to throw a little plug for ISTE. We have the pre-conference on Saturday for ISTE, but we also have, if you're going out Friday, Southeast region is hosting an event at the Philadelphia Phillies game. And it's money is raised for it's discount tickets. I forget, I don't know if it's charity or what's going on, but there's discounted tickets and it's a PAECT meetup.
Nice.
Yep. For everybody who's getting in there a little early. Yeah. It'll be an exciting time. And then, and then it hits the ground running. You get Saturday, like you said, the pre-con event. There's a lot of pre-con events going on, not just ours. So even if you're not able to make the PACT one, there's stuff happening off site, a lot of great stuff. And then we hit the ground running Sunday and kind of crank through. So, definitely. And then the other thing is make sure you're checking your email for the vendors that you work with, because they offer all sorts of evening activities. And you want to talk about just a great time to bond and get together. And some of the best memories of ISTE is dueling pianos, going to see them singing, with PACT. We have the fortune, like last summer, there were several members of the executive board, several members of PACT that were down in New Orleans, got to hang out and have them play a song, just play some Philadelphia themed songs and get stuff ready, because ISTE was coming here, and we did the same when we were in Chicago, and just a cool time. And then it just, if you're able to do some different stuff and travel, it's really cool. So this is going to be the last time it's going to be in Philly for a while. So you want to make it.
Yeah, I think the last time I went to ISTE, it was in Philly. So I was there, and I actually worked with Ozobot there for a couple presentations and some different things there. But it's definitely, you have the opportunity to get to an ISTE conference. It's definitely, you got to experience it at least once. Yeah.
So now are you going this summer?
I am not. No, not this summer. But hopefully next year I'll get back on the ticker for it. So
there you go. Good stuff. All right. Any other hard-hitting questions here, Dom?
No, not really. That was pretty much she's covered. She's covered a lot of the bases. She has a lot going on.
You're forgetting a very important one. Come on, man. We got to talk about powers.
Well, we're not there yet because I guess this kind of blends in with it, but I would say it's just one of her many superpowers. Some of the things you're doing with your classes, your PBL.
Okay. Yeah. I can talk about PBL for a little while. So
that's one of the things she's really incorporates that she presents great on. Whenever I've run into her at like Tretzi and Ed camps and other events, she has given out a lot of resources on PBL.
Yeah, project-based learning is actually something that we adopted as a district quite a few years back. We ran it as a pilot in a few classrooms, and we were really trying to figure out what it could do and what the potential was. And a few of us went for some training, and we were trying to figure out, what is this idea of project? It was still kind of new at that time. What is project-based learning? And trying to figure out where it fits in a school setting and in a classroom setting. And one thing kind of led to the next. And we actually, half of my day is actually spent teaching a project-based learning course that blends history 10, English 10, and a tech component into one classroom. So it's a PBL course. Our kids get 3 credits for taking that course. And it's an even blend of those 3 topics in that course at one time. So it is 100% project-based. We go from, the beginning with the exploratory and the research all the way up to the public exhibition at the end. It's something that we work on the entire year, and the whole way through, we're blending those ideas of the content that you would get in the English 10 classroom and the content that you would get in the History 10 go side and side. They line up parallel the whole way throughout the year. So it kind of gives the kids a different perspective on each topic and each subject area and how they're relevant to one another. And then the nice aspect with that is we can incorporate the tech side, and we actually have a tech teacher that's in there with us full time to kind of help us incorporate some of the different tech pieces that we want to use. And it's an even third of the course. So we're able to do a lot of cool things with that class. We have 3 sections of it this year, which is nice. It kind of grew in interest a little bit, but it's a very unique course in a way that, we're not giving tests, we're not giving quizzes. It's the same content you would get in English 10. So you're still reading, the classic pieces of literature and the poetry, and I'm, prepping for Keystone exams and all of that, but it's just presented in a different way. And with that blend of history, I think it kind of makes the content areas more relevant, and it's a nice experience for the kids.
Nice. Now, are you block schedule or 40-minute classes?
No, so we run the approximate 40-minute classes. We do have activity periods in the middle of our day that kind of coincide with the lunch schedules.
Okay.
So the kids there are 3 of those, and our kids have 1 lunch period, and then they have 2 activity periods. So sometimes we'll use those activity periods to add to the PBL time. But yeah, we do that in a regular class period, full year, 5 days a week, normal, 40-some minute class period. But there are 3 of us in there at the same time. So we have that constant blend. It's not segregated in terms of like this day you learn English, this day you learn history. It's a constant blend from day one. And I think it really gives them a different outlook on those content areas.
That's impressive being able to do that in, a 40-minute period.
Yeah. I mean, we move in that class. I mean, there are a lot of times where kids are working on 3, 4, 5 different things at a time, multitasking and, sometimes working outside, sometimes working inside. They might be working in a group. They might be working on their own. But I think the way that the class is designed to be all exploratory and all hands-on and all project-based, I don't really think they realize sometimes that they're doing so many things at once because they all kind of, work together. Something has to be finished in order to accomplish something else. So I really like it. Project-based is something that I've always been interested in. Me personally, I'm not a good test taker myself. It's just something that I've always struggled with along the way. So being able to create and teach a course that, allows our kids to meet the same outcome without it being a tested, course along the way is something that we're really proud of and that I'm really excited to be a part of.
That's really cool. That's impressive. Like I said, to be able to pull that off in that time, because I know a lot of places when they do that, they do the block schedules and such. But I enjoy getting the information, whenever from your sessions early on about PBL, because that's an area I would love to incorporate more and more. But
and we're lucky too that we have the entire year to do that. We have you can take a PBL project and isolate it, but that's our entire course, start to finish. So we start August, whatever, we move through the end. Last year our kids put together a museum, and they actually built museum exhibits in collaboration with the Heinz History Center. And we had a public display where, the community came in, parents came in, they walked through the museum just like they would down at the History Center. This year, they're making full-length documentaries. So they're working on 15 to 25-minute documentaries that put together their final idea with their final project. And that course gives us the opportunity to add additional technology pieces that you might not necessarily have the time or the ability to add in a normal classroom. So it's a nice switch. It gives them a nice variety of ideas, but I like it because I'm a tech heavy individual myself. And it just gives me, having the additional tech assistance in there and then the additional teachers to kind of work with the projects and, brainstorming how we're going to do that. We put together some nice opportunities for them that are tech related that they wouldn't necessarily get in a regular classroom.
And having the extra teachers, if someone does encounter a problem, you guys could split up and keep working, where if you're the only person in the room, that may bog down other people. That's cool. If you ever love to share samples of what your kids have done, we'd love to showcase it.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely. Yeah, it is nice to have 3 of us in there. Some days are English, some days are history, but it's never they never go in isolation, So if we're talking about the 4 freedoms in history, then there's going to be a poem or an article or, some type of literature piece that we're going to tie into that, just to kind of make it a little more relevant for them, instead of it being a separate standalone subject. So.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I know I do a little bit of it in my science classroom, not so much of it in my math classroom, just, but again, I'm just more isolated in that sense as opposed to the 3 teachers working together. But any little bit you can do to kind of enhance the activity is always big. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And this is something, our history and English courses, in terms of the curriculum, kind of had some overlap with content to begin with. So that's why we decided to go with the 10th grade, because those overlaps were already there. So it wasn't like a major curriculum overhaul, because I know that's difficult sometimes when people think about, well, how am I going to do project-based? How am I going to make this work? How am I going to? Well, we had a little bit of an advantage because that content overlapped a little bit to begin with. So, if people ask, I would say find a good starting point where you're not reinventing the wheel altogether. Find maybe those topics that overlap and give it a go from there. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Oh, very cool.
And that is why I didn't ask her what her superpower was just yet, because I wanted her to talk about this.
I gotcha.
Kind of is one of her superpowers.
You're trailing off. I was worried. You were trailing off on me. That's all.
No. So, Gina, what is your superpower besides PBL work?
I would say the ability to multitask.
That's a good one.
Yeah, the ability to multitask and maybe go on very little sleep. That would be my other is that a superpower? I don't know. I feel like it's a superpower.
Need it. Yeah.
You're still young. As you get older,
there's espresso in the cup here, Mm-hmm. Everybody take some coffee real quick. All right.
No, I just have water, ice water, but that works for me. Coffee this time of night, I'll be up all night. Then I'm really on less sleep tomorrow.
Maybe that's my problem. Maybe it's coffee too late at night. Maybe that's why it's the lack of sleep. I don't know.
If you could pick any superpower or invent a superpower, what would it be?
If I could have any superpower,
invent one.
I think I would go with invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to be invisible when I wanted to be, not all the time, but to have the ability to go invisible when I want to be invisible.
Okay.
That's what I would go with. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm going to nerd out because I had to run a Sam's Club after work, and they have those, auto controlled cleaners that go through Sam's Club cleaning the floor. But there were a couple driving around that you couldn't see anyone on them. But later, there was a gentleman riding one, and I'm wondering did he have an invisibility cloak or some kind of cloaking device, and he just forgot to put it on after break?
It's very.
Or are they really autonomous?
I don't know. They do work very well. They drive straight lines. Yes. I don't know. They're
your power. Your power just popped that back into my head.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, if you see one at Sam's Club, it may be me. I may be driving.
Nice.
I'm invisible.
Multitasking.
There was an article, I don't know how long ago, it was a while ago, but in the booming megalopolis of Hellertown, where I grew up, one of those machines from a giant food store from Giants actually escaped, and it was in the parking lot.
Oh.
And it was a whole thing about they gave it a name, the whole deal. But yeah, it was pretty interesting that the thing got out and was just kind of roaming the parking lot. Didn't get too far, but it was enough to make the news. That 2 hours away, our local news carried that news. So yeah, it's crazy.
I tell you what, though, I'm amazed at what I see them do. I'll see them in our Giant Eagles here sometime, and they're taking inventory. There's a camera on top, and they're moving through the aisles and taking inventory. And the first time I ever saw one, I pulled one of those like stop and stare and kind of watched it, do its thing because I couldn't figure out what it was. And then when I knew what it was, I don't know, it just kind of blew my mind a little bit in terms of what it was capable of.
Yeah, well, they're working in Pittsburgh. They have a autonomous truck initiative going on that was green lighted. But I remember the one Pete and C, Kevin Honeycutt had one of the robots you put a iPad on and you can drive it around. He let me drive it in the after session, but I was afraid because it was very expensive. And I'm like, if I break this, I can't replace it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
But he always had those neat gadgets. I still follow him on social media, and he was, a keynote back in the day for Pete and C.
Yeah, that was a good one. I remember that. Yeah. That's super cool. Good stuff. All right. Well, we got they got PBL. We got different things being discussed. I think it's time to dig into some tech notes. What do you think? Or yeah. So yeah. Although it was going to pop in, the visibility thing, she was going to try to sneak behind the scenes and see what goes on and how crazy the podcast is. You don't want to see behind the veil of the podcast. No. Let me tell you, dude, not at all. Not at all. It's crazy. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and kick off into some tech notes. Here we go. Dom, we're going to let you lead off. You're going to be our lead batter tonight.
Nice. So this is not so much it's a tool, but it's creativecommons.org. I know I've talked about advanced Google image searches. Go to creativecommons.org. You can not only use this in your classroom for creating projects, but you can make it a project yourself and contribute to the use of open source images and sounds and such like that. Go to creativecommons.org, and they have the different licenses and explain what Creative Commons is. It's basically allowing people to use your work. And if you go to the Share Your Work tab, you have different licenses. I usually use a attribution share alike license on the work that I publish. But they have all these tools, and a lot of people use Flickr, Vimeo, YouTube, and other things such as, now there was SoundCloud on here before. Now I can't find them. But SoundCloud's one for sound. Basically, what you can do is you can contribute to open source images, open source sound, music, and whatnot. And from there, kind of, we use a lot of these images in our classrooms. Hopefully we're using them with proper usage rights, but you can contribute and kind of give back and put more information in. So you go through the Openverse, search Creative Commons licensing. There's all different kinds of stuff. You have Google, Vimeo, Wikipedia Commons, SoundCloud is what we were talking about earlier. You can create your own music, upload it to SoundCloud. I know a lot of bands and musicians that are trying to come on into their own. They'll put some music out for people to share, and then they hold others back. Like, okay, if you like this is good, but if you want some other stuff, they'll license it out. So some of it's free, some of it is licensable with money. Flickr, a lot of people use for saving photos, and some of these other sites I haven't used. Google Images, obviously, people have used, but it's a way to give back and kind of help out. Plus, you can use it in your classroom because these images you're allowed to use, and that's the important part. Is usage rights and showing the kids appropriate usage. So I like Creative Commons in general. I know I've talked about this topic before, but it is a good way to give back to, this. And I actually make it an enrichment assignment for my kids. I always tell them, if you're taking photos, nothing inappropriate, nothing too personal, but kids are always taking selfies. Kids are taking pictures in the parking lot, be reels and such. People take nature photos, take pictures, upload them to Flickr, upload them to some of these other places. There's nothing in there that's giving away personal information, but contribute back to, you use these for your projects, and it's a hobby of yours. Get out there, get your name out there. Someone may find your work, and because everyone's always looking to come up with hobbies and stuff. It's just a way to network and contribute back. So creativecommons.org.
Very cool. That definitely seems like some updating since the last time I've seen it and used it. And yeah, definitely really cool. The fact that they built all that in. That's
I mean, the Wikimedia Commons, Wikipedia Commons, I use that a lot in class, and I show the kids, like, we'll go through the advanced Google image search. You can go this way too, and there's a lot of other things, but because, school site, I'm not certain. A lot of the stuff comes up through advanced Google image search. We have the safe search on, so you're not going to get any inappropriate pictures posted there. So I'm a little bit hesitant to go in a classroom setting to try those other sites without the Google filter on there, because one bad click and you could be in trouble. So from a classroom setting, I go through the advanced Google image search. The safe search is locked on through our school filter, but a lot of those sites, Flickr and stuff like that, they pop up, and those are some of the sites that Google will go to get the images you can use. So,
is there music on there too that you can pull from that site? Nice.
Yes. So, and I know like a lot of if you are paying for certain video processing, they have the music built in and stuff that you can use, but this is for kids working on their own. And there's a lot out there you can check with and see. And if SoundCloud's a big one, and that's where, like I said, a lot of musicians that are trying to get their legs underneath them put music out, and there's some good stuff out.
Very cool. All right, another good tech note. All right, Gina, would you like to go next?
Sure. So the tech note that I have to share is one.
Oh, hold on 1 second. We got a quick transition. Here we go.
Let me do my screen here. There we go. Now it's official.
All right, now it's official. There we go.
All right. So the tech note that I have to share is one that has been around for a little while now, I feel like, but it is Screencastify. And this is one that I've been using more frequently in my classroom with my kids as of late, primarily to practice some of those public speaking skills. I feel like coming out of COVID and the COVID era and, everything that kind of came with it, our speaking and our presentation skills were needing a little bit of work. But there was also an extra nervousness with speaking in front of your peers. And I feel like that's a high school thing anyway to begin with. I just feel like coming out of the pandemic, it was maybe a little bit stronger than what we have seen in the past. So, this is a tool here that I've been incorporating a little bit more into my room, just to allow kind of a safer, more private place for my kids to put together presentations and to share presentations, to practice those speaking skills, not reading from the slide, eye contact, citing sources, things like that they may be a little more nervous to do in person. I feel like Screencastify kind of gives me the opportunity to allow them to do that. They know that I'm going to see it. My co-teacher is going to see it. We're not going to share it with the class. And I feel like it just gives them a little bit of extra confidence while they practice those skills. And I can still essentially see what it is that I want them to complete in terms of the presentation skills just on a video platform. So Screencastify, we actually have it. If you're a Google user, you can add it as an extension, and it will always be kind of clipped to the top. And I don't know if it's hard to see on this little screen here, but down to your extensions there, and then you'll have it's a little orange arrow with a camera on it, and it's always embedded there for us. You can pin it if you're a Google user, and it'll make it very accessible on your screen. And it's something that it gives you these three options here. So you can do a screen recording only, a webcam only, or the screen and webcam. And what I find that I like to do is choose the screen and webcam. And I like to have my kids use the screen and webcam because it will put them kind of like we are on the screen right now in a smaller portion. So they can still have Google Slides behind them. Or if they're working on, sharing information and research from a website, they can still have that on their screen. Essentially the equivalent to what would be on the board behind them presenting in front of a class or in a group setting. But Screencastify, with this option here with the webcam, it allows them to have that information on the screen, but it pops them down in the corner, so we can still kind of check skills like eye contact. Are you reading from a card? How are your, presentation skills back and forth? It's very easy to use. You just kind of click on your option. You go to next. You'll give it a title and a description. And then as you click through, it asks you how you shared, any, etc.
I have a little glitching out on my end. Are you getting that too, Dom?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You guys up.
Sorry, we're just the audio's going in and out, but keep going.
Which is here. Okay. But essentially it just kind of gives them, I'll just dismiss out of that. Essentially it just gives them a countdown, and then it will record their screen, what they say, what they're doing, and what's on the back of their screen at the same time. When it's finished, it'll automatically save to their Google Drive. And then for us, it plays real nice with Google Classroom. It'll allow them to upload right there. They can go in and edit and clip and snip and do some very simple editing pieces within that video. But if you're doing it for presentation purposes, like I use it, I don't really feel the need to have them edit. I want to see what their presentation was from the get-go. This is a tool that has allowed a lot of growth, and I've seen a lot of progress in my kids from the beginning, from the first presentation they did all the way to the end. While maybe we didn't do as many presentations in person this year, they were still presenting constantly through Screencastify and using that. And I think that'll really show when they hit their junior year next year. So that's a tech tool that I've been using more of lately. I found it to be real beneficial, and it's real helpful in terms of the presentation skills for me.
Awesome. That's a great tool. We have that in our district. They bought it when COVID hit, and they expanded it for the kids, not just the teachers, but the kids have access to that too. So
nice.
We have the license, which is nice to have. A very powerful tool.
Yeah. And and what's great about it is you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's some things, even though there's a lot of like shiny, new, really cool stuff. This one's been around for a while. They've got a lot of things built into it, and it's still a phenomenal app to use. And they're making iterations and they're updating, they're doing all that stuff. But some people look at it like, oh, Screencastify, I was using it so many years ago. Well, that's okay. Sometimes tried and true is okay,
And some of the tools have gone by the wayside from when some of us started, but a lot of them have upgraded. And I know there's tools that people are like, oh, I use that. I'm like, oh yeah, not so much snobby, but I tried that before. I didn't like it. Like, have you seen it in the last couple of years? And they're totally revamped. So it's something, never throw it out of the toolbox. Always go back and revisit, because you don't know if they're upgraded or not.
Well, and it's nice too if the kids have used it in the past. It's something that they're familiar with. So for us to say, hey, we're going to do currently they're working on, they did some research within the UN sustainability goals. They had to go through and pick one, but we didn't have to share a tech piece or, give them a new avenue to use. We were able to say, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it through Screencastify. Here's what we're looking for, and they feel comfortable enough to use that because it's a tool that's been around for a while. They've used it in different classrooms. They've used it in different avenues. And it's something that's familiar to them. So that kind of helps too. We get the biggest bang for our buck there because it's not something that they're afraid to use. They know how to use it. And it kind of works well for everyone. So some of those original ones that have upgraded, I think definitely have some major benefit.
Yeah. And it's not hard to learn for new students either, or even adults coming in, haven't used it before. It's not a hard tool to not necessarily master, but become comfortable with.
Yeah. One thing I will say, when the video is done, if you don't allow it to download all the way, it'll show like on the right of the screen. If you don't allow that to fully download to Google, sometimes you will lose your video, but it does have that automatic save to Google. So you just can't I tell them, wait until the bar fills. You can't be too quick to close the Chromebook and move on because it does have that auto save and that auto upload. You just have to give it the minute to do that. Yeah. So, and then it's all in one folder. They have a Screencastify folder. It automatically dumps everything into that folder for them, and then they can do what they need for it. So, the back end of that, as far as organization goes, is pretty user-friendly too.
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, with that being around for a long time, the way it connects to Google Drive, Google Classroom, they've got a lot of that figured out. So all their APIs, all their hooks are pretty solid. So that's great.
And it works on, the various computing platforms, Chromebooks, Microsoft machines, Apple machines, which of course it would, but
chasing that fruit. All right, here we go. Kick into our next tech note. All right, so this is a little bit of a cheat, I guess. So talk about, keeping your eyeballs on your email. So friend of PAECT, definitely friend of Dom's, a friend of ours, Rochelle Poth, has been doing a lot of different events lately. And she did reach out to me, and I missed it last weekend, and I do apologize. But upcoming, she's doing a collaboration with Holly Clark. So AI infused classroom, so a free learning event, inspiring ideas to shift teaching and maximize meaningful learning in a world of AI. So 10 sessions in 10 days is how they have it presented. So the website I'll put up here on the screen as I transition. Here we go. So the website ai-infusedclassroom.com. When you head here, all right, so it just opens up again. Looks like the logo I just showed you. And so you can free learning events for educators. You can register, and just scrolling down, just looking at the different information. Let me go ahead and do a little zoom action here. So the 10 sessions, what you get access to about, over the course of the 10 days. So you can work ahead, work behind, with a 30-day window to view and absorb the content. So you sign, a lot of the times I'll sign up for webinars and I'm like, it's 30% chance of me making it. But I'm hopeful that I was on that list to be there, that they send me the email and say, hey, we noticed you signed up, you weren't able to make it. Here's the video. And then I'm able to catch up with that later. So they have that built into this concept as well. And then some quick and fun challenges to go with it. All right. And just again, and then here's the speakers are pulling in. So pretty good. Holly Clark kind of kicking it off. Journea Armand. I'm not sure who that is, but looks like definitely inspiring. Miss Lopez, I do know from the Flip Arena. So she works with Flip in the Microsoft organization. We've got Donnie Piercy, and that's a new name to me. There's Rochelle, of course, PAECT, and the Merrills. They've done a lot of different keynoting. Great group there. So I just know based on the speakers they have lined up, this is going to be an exciting event. And again, we were talking about all the different things, the cutting edge, all the stuff going on with AI. Well, this is a group that's they're grounded in their pedagogy. So as they're sharing this with you, there's going to be sound information about how they're using it, how they're utilizing it, and just to give you some great ideas. So let me, so they put the session list up. And if you go to register, just to walk through, really just give it that, and then they're going to send you that information. So just, put it in. So real simple for you to be able to go through and do as far as giving them your information and signing up. So Holly Clark does a lot of great stuff, seen a lot of different things that she's done through the Microsoft connections that I have, and then even seeing her at different events. She did a lot. She did with Matt Miller, who does Ditch That Textbook. They've got a little digital learning podcast that they're doing together now with Blended Learning, with Book Creator and Microsoft Flip. So she really does a lot of great things, has a lot of people that she works with. So I highly would recommend, I've already signed up, highly would recommend you joining this. And even they have TikTok channels, communities, different books, all right, some different activities. So it's www.ai-infused.com. All right, for those of you who are listening on their favorite podcast player. So ai-infusedclassroom.com. So definitely highly recommended. Again, we're all trying to gobble up as much, looking at what AI is going to be doing in our classrooms and how we're going to be able to harness it for all the good it has. So it's definitely pretty good there. I know I'm in different groups, whether it be Microsoft related, whether it be Google related, of all the different things that are coming down the pike, and putting a lot of forethought. I think there's going to be a lot introduced at ISTE as far as the AI components to all the different platforms and everything that we're using. I do know some of the Google AI team will be at the PAECT Playground, sharing about some things they have going on. Bard was just released and stuff they have going on in the back end. So a lot of great stuff there. So I definitely plan on, absorbing as much as I can from that 10-day event.
Yeah. And along with that, the links, the links of everything we've been discussing. It's a late night.
It's all good.
Those links will be in a Wakelet. It'll be in the description for each broadcast of it on YouTube. We'll put it into Spotify. So when you check the podcast online, you'll be able to click on the link, and it'll take you. You have a list of links to the show and to the things we're talking about on the show. So that way, if you miss something, we'd appreciate it if you go back and listen to it again, because listenership helps. But if you don't have time to do that, click on the links. There'll be a Wakelet, and everything will be there for your perusal.
Yes, sir. And we know it'll be there because Dom is in charge of that, and he takes care of that very diligent with that. So we really appreciate that.
It'll be a couple days because I am proctoring the next 2 days. So I am locked down, offline, and just pacing the proctoring room as the students are taking the keystones.
Getting his steps.
Yes, get my steps in.
Awesome. All right. Well, good stuff. I really appreciate everything you had to share, Gina and Dom, and putting together another pod, and a lot of exciting stuff happening. We're a little Western PA heavy tonight. We'll have to figure that out and balance it out a little bit, but that's okay. Wrong with that. That's all good. No, awesome stuff. Yeah. So, all right. Well, as we close out here, Dom, you know, a lot of great stuff happening. We got working on planning our next pod. We're getting closer to ISTE. A lot of awesome stuff happening in our organization. So always great. So, you know, just want to thank everybody for watching and listening.
Yes.
And as always, remember,
PAECT.
We are
the voice of EdTech in Pennsylvania
and beyond. All right. Thanks for listening, and let's kick it to our sponsors. PAECT and the PAECT Pod would like to thank our corporate council sponsors. Thank you to ClassLink, Max Cases, Go Guardian, and Bloom. Thank you to Sam Labs, DRC Data Recognition Corporation, and EduSpire. Tech, the next step. PAECT thanks these sponsors and thanks you for listening to another episode of the PAECT Pod.